Okay, let's unpack this concept of playing styles.
Right.
Because usually when you hear that phrase, you're thinking about sports, right?
Mm-hmm. Tennis, basketball.
Does a tennis player rush the net? Is a basketball team defensive? But today, we are taking that concept and dragging it right into the messy reality of your actual life.
It's a fascinating shift in perspective. We aren't talking about hobbies here.
No.
We're talking about the operating system of your existence, how you handle pressure, how you make decisions, and this is the big one, how you handle the other people in the room.
Exactly. The playing style of your life. And what we're really digging into today is this core tension that I think everyone listening feels, even if they haven't put words to it.
I think so.
It's the tension between being a self-reliant powerhouse, standing on your own 2 feet, and the absolute necessity of collaboration.
Because you can't do it all alone.
You can't. As the source material puts it, we need to understand each other's playing styles before we can play well together.
Which is, well, it's much easier said than done. It's the classic paradox.
Yeah.
You need to be independent enough to not be needy, but connected enough to not be an island.
Right. And to help us navigate this, we have a stack of sources that is honestly a bit of a weird cocktail.
It is.
We've got ancient Stoic philosophy heavy hitters like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, sitting right next to modern strategic sharks like Robert Greene, Simon Sinek, and Scott Galloway.
It does seem like an odd dinner party.
Huh.
You have guys in togas worrying about the Roman Empire.
Mixed with guys in suits worrying about Q4 earnings.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. The environments are surprisingly similar.
High stakes, difficult people.
Backstabbing, the need for strategy.
Yeah.
It really hasn't changed much in 2,000 years. So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out the art of inner and outer collaboration. How do we keep our own house in order while working with people who might be, let's just say, challenging?
Challenging is a polite way to put it. But before we get into tactics, and we have some really specific ones, we have to nail down the definition.
Okay.
When we say playing style in this context, we aren't talking about your workflow. This isn't about whether you're an inbox zero person or a
let it burn person, thank God, because my inbox is definitely burning.
Most of ours are. No, this is about an expression of character. It includes your strengths, sure, but also your weaknesses, your values, and crucially, how those things show up when the heat is turned up.
It's your default setting.
Your default setting when things go wrong.
Yeah, character in motion. I love that. But let's jump straight into the deep end, because there is a quote here from Robert Greene that it slaps you in the face.
It does.
He says, depending on others is misery. Depending on yourself is power.
Classic Robert Greene. He doesn't sugarcoat it.
He really doesn't. But honestly, when I first read that, it sounded a little bleak. Is he telling us to just build a bunker, trust no one, and live off canned beans? Because that feels like a fast track to being a lonely hermit.
I can see why it lands that way. It sounds cynical. But I don't think Greene is advocating for total isolation. He's too smart for that. He knows power requires people.
Right.
He's warning against a specific kind of dependency. He's talking about outsourcing your emotional stability.
Okay, let's drill down on that. What does that look like practically?
It's when your internal weather depends entirely on someone else's actions.
Okay.
If you depend on your boss for your sense of self-worth or on your partner for your ability to make a simple decision, that is the misery he's talking about.
That's fragility.
It's total fragility.
Yeah.
Because if your well-being rests in someone else's hands, you are inherently vulnerable. You're waiting for permission to be okay.
You're basically handing them the remote control to your mood. Here, press mute on my happiness, please.
Exactly. You're constantly scanning them for cues. Are they mad? Did I do good?
It's exhausting. So exhausting. And the sources point out that this stems from a very specific psychological trap. They call it perceptual distortion.
I circled this in the notes because it feels like the scientific explanation for why we feel small in meetings.
It's very, very closely related to imposter syndrome. The source points out that humans have a bias. We tend to overestimate other people's abilities.
And underestimate our own.
We look at a colleague or competitor and think, wow, they're so confident they have it all figured out, but that's a distortion.
Because we're comparing their highlight reel to our behind-the-scenes footage.
Precisely. They are performing, they are trying hard to look like they know what they're doing, just like you are, but you don't see their internal panic, you only feel your own.
So you put them on a pedestal.
And you dig a pit for yourself.
And that destroys collaboration, doesn't it? I mean, you
There.
can't collaborate if you're worshiping the other person.
Right. You become a sycophant or you become silent. Understanding playing styles starts with leveling the playing field.
You have to stop viewing others as gods and yourself as a fraud. Engage as equals. But here is the kicker. You cannot do that until you really know yourself.
Which brings us to Epictetus. Now, my morning routine is usually coffee, maybe a little doom scrolling, realizing I'm late.
Sounds familiar.
But Epictetus, his morning ritual is basically a police interrogation.
It's intense. But for the Stoics, the morning wasn't about me time or self-care in the modern sense. It was about preparation for battle.
Okay.
Epictetus suggests running through a mental checklist the moment you wake up. He asks, what am I, a rational being? And then what is demanded of me?
That's standard enough. I am a human, I have to go to work. But then he goes into the uncomfortable territory.
He does. He asks, what did I do that was unfriendly, unsocial, or uncaring?
That is a rough question to ask before breakfast. Who was I a jerk to yesterday?
It is. But think about the utility of it. Most of us, we just go through life on autopilot. We react, we snap, we withdraw, and we rarely stop to ask why.
So this isn't about guilt.
Not at all. It's not navel-gazing or guilt-tripping. It's data collection.
It's looking at the game tape from the day before.
Exactly. If you can identify your triggers, if you realize, oh, I tend to get snappy when I'm rushed, or I shut down completely when I'm criticized,
Then you can see it coming.
then you can catch yourself. You know your playing style intimately. You aren't just a victim of your own reactions.
So you're going into the day with a scouting report on yourself. Watch out for the criticism trigger today. You're vulnerable there.
Yes. And that self-knowledge is the foundation.
Yeah.
You absolutely cannot understand anyone else's playing style if you are a stranger to your own.
Okay, so let's say we're doing the work. We're waking up. We're interrogating ourselves like Epictetus. We're becoming self-reliant.
Right.
But we still have to define what winning looks like in this game because
Yeah.
the modern world has a very specific scorecard.
Mhm.
Money, titles, followers.
IPOs.
Right.
And if you play by that scorecard, you will likely end up miserable, even if you win.
So the sources pivot.
They pivot hard to character as the ultimate playing style. And we have this great advice from Scott Galloway, the business professor at NYU.
I love Galloway. He's usually talking about stocks or tech monopolies, just screaming about the markets.
Right.
But here he's talking to his students about life strategy.
And he tells them the path to success, real, sustainable success, is simply being a good person.
Which, coming from a business shark, sounds almost suspicious. It sounds too simple.
Like a needlepoint pillow.
Yeah, just be nice.
It does, until you connect it to the heavy hitters like Marcus Aurelius. He defines success as good character, good intentions, and good actions. It's functional.
How so?
It's about being someone people actually want to play with. Because in the long run, if you're a genius but you're toxic, people will stop passing you the ball.
But the sources don't just leave it at be nice. They give us a really terrifying example of what happens when you get this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We have to talk about Seneca.
The broken parable.
Yeah.
This part stood out to me because Seneca is such a giant of Stoicism. We quote him all the time.
We do. He wrote all these beautiful letters about virtue and poverty and integrity.
But I think a lot of people don't realize how messy his actual life was.
Messy is an understatement. It was a tragedy.
It was. Seneca was a brilliant philosopher, wealthy, intellectual, but he served the Emperor Nero.
And for those who are rusty on their Roman history, Nero was not a good guy.
No.
He makes modern villains look like cartoons.
Nero was a monster. He murdered his own mother. He kicked his pregnant wife to death. He was a tyrant. And Seneca, he was Nero's tutor and advisor.
He wrote speeches for him.
Wrote speeches for him, stayed in his service for years, accumulating massive wealth while standing next to a man committing atrocities.
There's that line from the source that describes him. It's actually a lyric, "Now I'm just a broken parable of values I used to hold."
That hits hard.
It's the ultimate hypocrisy.
It is. And the lesson here isn't just don't work for a murderous tyrant.
Right.
It's that your playing style isn't what you say. It isn't your philosophy or the books on your shelf. It's what you do when you are tested.
Seneca knew all the right words.
But his actions, he compromised. He enabled a monster to stay close to power.
So the warning is, moral compromises add up. You think you can handle it, you think I'll just do this one thing or I can change them from the inside.
But eventually the environment changes you.
Yeah.
Be wary of who you work for.
Yeah.
If you hang around people who cheat, you'll start finding reasons why cheating is okay.
So if Seneca is the warning, what's the litmus test? How do we know if we or the people we're working with have a solid playing style?
The sources offer a really small, specific test. It's almost boring, but it's lethal in its accuracy.
Okay.
The apology.
Kimberly Johnson's advice. Never ruin an apology with an excuse.
That is so much harder than it sounds. Think about the last time you apologized.
Yeah.
Really think about it.
It's almost a reflex. I'm sorry I yelled, but I was really stressed. I'm sorry I missed the deadline, but the email didn't come through.
It's the but. The but kills it. The but is the excuse. It's a deflection. It says, I'm saying sorry to get you off my back, but really this isn't my fault.
So a mature playing style is just stopping at the period.
Stopping at the period, I'm sorry I yelled, I will do better.
And that's it.
That's it. It reveals a person who takes responsibility. It signals safety. If you are collaborating with someone who can't do that, who always has an excuse, you are in for a rough ride.
That's a massive red flag.
A huge red flag in their playing style. It means they value being right more than they value the relationship.
That's a great filter. If they can't apologize, they can't collaborate. Okay, I want to pivot to the technical side of this. We've talked about character, but let's talk skills. The sources reference the book Siddhartha.
By Hermann Hesse.
And these 3 specific capacities that define a powerful person. I can think, I can wait, I can fast.
This is one of my favorite frameworks. It's what we might call a high-level playing style, and these are practical tools for navigating chaos.
Okay, let's break them down. First, I can think. Now, is this just being smart, having a high IQ?
No, it's deeper than that. I can think means having good rules for decision-making. It's about clarity.
Under pressure.
Especially under pressure. When the market crashes or the project catches fire, do you panic? Do you let your emotions drive the bus? Or can you reason your way through it?
It's keeping your head when everyone else is losing theirs. It's not about knowing the answer immediately.
No, it's about knowing how to find the answer without freaking out.
Okay. Then the second one, I can wait.
Right.
Which sounds incredibly passive. I can wait sounds like doing nothing.
In our culture, it feels passive. We live in the economy of now. We want the quarterly returns, the likes, the instant feedback.
If we send a text and don't get a reply in 3 minutes, we spiral.
We do. But I can wait is the ability to play the long game. It means you aren't desperate. You don't misallocate your resources chasing a quick, low-quality win.
It's impulse control. The marshmallow test for adults.
It is. It's the investor mindset versus the gambler mindset. And finally, the third one, which I think is the most interesting, I can fast.
I assume we aren't just talking about skipping lunch here.
No, that's part of the discipline. It's a metaphor for resilience. I can fast means being able to withstand difficulty, disaster, and discomfort without falling apart.
It's having a high pain tolerance.
A very high pain tolerance. If you need everything to be perfect and comfortable to function, if you need the perfect chair, the perfect coffee, your playing style is fragile.
You're high maintenance.
You're high maintenance and low resilience. I can fast means you can handle a lean year. You can handle a toxic boss for a while if you have a plan. You are robust.
I feel like I can fast is the one most of us try to avoid. We spend our whole lives trying to build comfort so we never have to fast.
Of course. We are biologically wired to seek comfort. But the expert source here makes a crucial point. These aren't innate gifts.
They're skills.
They're skills.
Yeah.
You aren't born with the ability to fast or wait. The text says mental fitness can be practiced, trained, and rehearsed.
So you're hitting the mental gym.
Every day. You practice waiting by not checking your phone the second you get bored. You practice fasting by doing something difficult like a cold shower or a hard conversation. You build the capacity before you need it.
But let's be real for a second. Hitting the mental gym is hard because the world is so noisy. We have a quote in our notes from the band The Head and the Heart, random source, but I love it. The world's just spinning a little too fast.
I think everyone can feel that.
We're overwhelmed. How do you maintain this high-level playing style when you're just trying to keep your head above water?
We are losing our grip. And this is why both Marcus Aurelius and Seneca were so obsessed with stillness. And remember, they weren't monks in a cave.
Right. Marcus Aurelius was running an empire.
And Seneca was navigating a treacherous court. They were busy, powerful men, but they insisted on stillness.
Why? What does stillness actually give you besides a break?
Observation. That's the key. You cannot see patterns when you are sprinting. If you want to understand someone's playing style or your own, you have to slow down enough to watch.
You have to retreat.
Even for a few seconds. To find that peace. If you're constantly reacting to the noise, you're just a pinball in a machine.
There's that great insight from Lao Tzu about time and mental states that ties into this.
Yes. If you are depressed, you are living in the past.
If you are anxious, you are living in the future.
If you are at peace, you are living in the present.
That hits home. Anxiety is almost always about what if? What if this fails? What if they don't like me?
And collaboration requires presence. You can't work with the person in front of you if you're anxious about next week. You miss the cues. Which leads to a very practical rule for dealing with difficult people.
Be specific.
Be specific. Aim small to miss small.
Okay, what does that mean?
When we have conflict, we use broad strokes. We say, he is difficult, she is toxic.
They are incompetent. Those are useless labels. They're just complaints.
Exactly. They don't give you any leverage. To understand a playing style, you have to get specific. Where exactly does the communication break down? Is it an email? Is it during meetings?
It's the difference between saying, my car is broken and my spark plugs need replacing.
Perfect analogy. If you say, my car is broken, you're helpless. If you say, it's the spark plugs, you can fix it.
You have an action.
You have an action. Maybe that person isn't toxic. Maybe they just need clear written instructions because they have poor auditory memory.
That's a game changer. It takes the emotion out of it and turns it into a mechanics problem. But what if you do all that? You aim small, you analyze, and it still goes wrong.
Then you have to manage your expectations. Simon Sinek has a line that I think should be printed on every office wall.
Yeah.
Always plan for the fact that no plan ever goes according to plan.
It sounds pessimistic. It sounds like Murphy's Law.
The sources call it liberating realism.
Liberating realism. I like that. Tell me more.
There's a quote here. Today will not be perfect, and nobody's going to get out of your way.
Okay.
If you wake up thinking the world is going to part for you like the Red Sea, you are going to be miserable by 9:00 a.m.
You'll be angry at traffic, angry at the barista.
Everything.
Hmm.
But if you accept that friction is part of the game, that plans will fail, that people will be annoying, you can work with what is rather than what you wish it was.
You stop fighting reality. You stop wasting energy.
And that is a huge part of a mature playing style. You are adaptable. Okay, the plan failed, now we pivot.
Yeah.
That is the I can think capacity kicking in. You don't freeze, you flow.
This whole conversation reminds me of that Charlie Chaplin quote. Life is a tragedy when seen in close-up, but a comedy when seen in long shot.
It's the perfect summary. In the close-up, in the daily grind, it's full of mistakes and failed plans and embarrassing apologies. It feels tragic.
It feels heavy.
But if you pull back to the long shot,
You see the growth.
you see the character being built.
Yeah.
You see that all those little failures were just practice. And that's really what developing a playing style is. It's not about being perfect today.
It's about showing up.
It's the practice of showing up.
Yeah.
There's that head of dress up, show up, and never give up.
Huh.
It isn't about feeling motivated every day. It's about consistency, the repetitions.
So we've covered a lot. The morning interrogation, the apology test, the 3 capacities, the need for stillness. But I want to leave our listener with one final image.
Yeah.
It's a proverb. Even a robber fastens his door.
It's a provocative image to end on.
What does that mean to you in this context? Because we started by talking about not building a bunker, not isolating ourselves.
It means that understanding playing styles isn't about being naive. It's not about opening your door to everyone and saying, come on in, let's collaborate.
Regardless of who they are.
Exactly. It's about wisdom. Even someone who breaks the rules. The robber knows the value of security. He knows he has something to lose.
So boundaries are still necessary. You can be a good person like Galloway says, but that doesn't mean you're a doormat.
Absolutely. You need to know yourself well enough to know who to let in and who to keep out. To avoid that misery Robert Greene talked about,
You fasten your door.
you fasten your door not because you hate the world, but because you value what's inside. You protect your peace so that when you do collaborate, you have something of value to offer.
That is the ultimate playing style, knowing your value and protecting it so you can share it with the right people.
Precisely.
So here's the question for you today. What does your behavior right now say about your playing style? Not your intentions, not what you hope to be, but what you are actually doing. Are you aiming small? Are you fastening your door? Maybe it's time to ask yourself those tough questions before breakfast. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.